Hey guys, Brian Jonas here for another episode of Pick Up the Six podcast. Before we get started today, we've got new gear available over at Pick Up the Six. So just head to our website, pickupthesix.com. I've got 3 new shirts we just put up this week. I got to be honest with you guys. Look, obviously, I'm going to shill the gear, but man, I love these ones. First one is Quell the Storm and Ride the Thunder. You've likely heard the famous Teddy Roosevelt quote about the man in the arena. You got to go down a little bit where Teddy talks about these tepid souls and how we have to quell the storm and ride the thunder, which is pretty awesome. So check that shirt out. We also have Burn the Boats. We know we're big fans of that mindset here. We're going all in. And then lastly, if you were to say, hey, Brian, tell me a little bit about what Pick Up the Six means to you from a faith component. It's about leaving the 99. It's about that parable of the lost sheep. Now, if you have 100 and one goes astray, you leave the 99. That's what we're doing here at Pick Up the Six. So go check them out, pickupthesix.com. They're only $20, guys. Grab a new shirt, support the cause. And like Adam Carolla would say, put a little wind in the sails of this pirate ship that we have going here. Pickupthesix.com. Click that gear tab at the very top. Scoop up one of those new shirts today. My guest today is Steve Gonzalez, better known as Gonzo. He's a retired Navy SEAL who had a bit of an uncommon path to get there. In that, Gonzo is a combat veteran, and his awards include 2 Bronze Stars for Valor, among many others. And now he's part of a powerful team at Force Blue, whose mission is to unite the community of special operations veterans with the world of marine conservation for the betterment of both. I'm pumped for you guys to meet Gonzo on this episode of Pick Up the Six podcast. Gonzo, my brother, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Woke up breathing. That's the hardest part of the day. Right. Everything else is gravy.
When you wake up on the right side of the dirt.
That's right. As long as I'm looking down at the flower bed and not up, it's a good day.
So check this out, Gonzo. Man, I'm thrilled to have you. I'm excited, man. You bring a ton of energy. A guy from New Orleans is always going to bring a ton of passion and excitement. We just passed the 1-year mark for this humble podcast we've been building, 86 episodes deep in the first year. And I reached out to some friends who got me to my friend Tom Mullikin, who's been on the show. I said, Tom, I'm looking for somebody to kick off year 2 of this thing that's going to bring some energy. He's like, I got a guy. And that's you.
Hey, and it's Mardi Gras season too. So, hey.
Tuesday's going to be here before we know it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's meant to be.
We can talk when we get offline about maybe getting some king cake up here in North Carolina. I got a couple of shops to make them, but it's nothing like getting it from the great state of Louisiana.
No, sir. Yeah, I know a guy.
I know you do. I believe you do. We're going to find the baby and everything, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Gonzo, Steve, man, let's get to know you a little bit. Tell me about your path to not just the Navy, but right to the teams, because it's a little bit of a different journey that got you there, right? And we've had some incredible team guys who have been on the show, great friends of our show in Green Berets like Lowell Copper, and then team guys, SEAL team guys specifically, and Ray Cash, Eli Crane, Will Branham. I've just been, man, honored to have conversations with those guys and really pumped about what Eli's got going on in his campaign. But what led you to
fantastic.
life? Oh, he's so good, man. So
he
good.
Is.
So good.
Yeah,
what led you to life in the Navy?
So I knew my journey was kind of odd that I knew at 14 that I was joining the Navy. Like I knew that's what I wanted to do. I grew up, my grandmother lived with us when I was growing up, and she would watch the older movies, the John Waynes and the Jeff Chandlers and the guys traveling the world and seeing the world. And I said, that's what I want to do. I don't want to just read about Paris. I want to go. I don't want to read about Italy. I want to go. So I knew that that's what I was going to do. So I graduated. Actually, I enlisted while I was still in high school in the late entry program, and on the buddy program. I was going to go with a buddy of mine, and we signed up in October on the Navy's birthday, as a matter of fact. And then come July, I graduated high school, and then come July 6th, they picked me up. They wanted to pick my buddy up, and he said, I've changed my mind.
No.
Yes. Yeah. So and I was 17. I mean, I was baby. And they looked at me and said, what do you want to do? I was like, let's go. Yeah. So they, let's give him a couple of weeks. So I went back home, told my family, and they go, hey, no problem. Same thing. Picked me up July 26, 1982. They go to his house. I don't want to go. And they looked right at me. I said, let's do it. So went to San Diego, which is now closed.
You guys still keep in touch, or was that pretty much the end of that road?
I saw him at a high school reunion. I've only been to like 2. I went to my 15 year and just recently to my 35th because I'm an old fart. Yeah. And when I saw him at the 15 year, he said, man, I really wish I would have done that. And I was like,
I mean, everybody's path is different, right?
It is.
He's
It
also
is.
probably
Yeah.
like, well, it worked out pretty well for him. I mean, it
Yeah,
seems
it
like
did. Yeah, yeah,
it's the
yeah.
right
So
path for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yes, sir. So yeah, so I went to boot camp in San Diego.
What year
They
was
were
this? Remind me where we're at, sort of.
1982.
Okay.
1982. Yes, sir. So I went to boot camp there. And then went to my A school, my apprenticeship school. I started off as a machinery repairman, machinist, which I had taken in high school, trade school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a passion, and that was my intent. Was like, hey, 4 years, get a good trade, get some experience, move back to New Orleans, become a machinist, live out my life in New Orleans. Um, but I was really enjoying the Navy. I was really, getting and traveling. On my first 2 years, I was in Italy,
Yeah.
got to go all over the place, and then I reenlisted. And right after I reenlisted, some guys came on my ship. They didn't look like us. They didn't act like us. And I said, man, who are those guys? And they go, well, those are SEALs. I was like, what the hell is a SEAL? And they said, well, go talk to them. So I went and talked to them, and I said, that's the job for me. So, but it took me a while. It took some time because my job was undermanned. So Big
Mm-hmm.
Navy wasn't ready to let me go. So it took quite a few years for it to get approved. Actually separated, went into the reserves for a couple of years, came back in, went to Buds at the young age of 32.
Wow. So
And
that's what I
yes,
meant by that uncommon path.
yes, sir. Yes,
You want
sir.
to talk about
And
being an old fart? They must have been ragging you at that age.
oh yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, I got called grandpa. I mean, all kinds of stuff like, hey, what was Korea like? You know? Yeah. But it's because, and I'm sure you've heard every path is different.
Sure.
Eli was much younger, and
Right.
I listened to Eli's your conversation with Eli, and yeah, his path, everybody's different. Um, where he mentioned that he was maybe a little immature. I was My body suffered a little bit at 32 years old, but
Mm-hmm.
mentally I was 32. So I was like, come on, fellas. I know what you're saying. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
gonna stay
Yeah.
in this, we're
Interesting.
gonna stay in this water until somebody quits. I'm like, no, we're gonna stay in this water until the time limit hits, and then we're gonna get up. And so it
Interesting.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little, I don't want to say it was easier for me. It
No,
was
you just were in a different mental space than a
yes,
younger
sir.
guy that, yeah, you just had a
Yes,
different
yes,
life
sir.
experience in front of you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What or what year was that?
That was 1997.
Okay.
So I started off in Bud's class 215, and I actually rolled my hip flexors during Hell Week. But I was like, this is my one shot. I'm not quitting. I'm sure not getting med drop. So I powered through the rest of Hell Week, and then got medical rolled a couple of classes, and then eventually graduated with class 218. And it was wonderful because I got to come back east, which everybody wants to serve differently. Yeah, I kind of knew the East Coast. I was in the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast in the regular Navy, and I had a lot of friends who were at the teams, and showed up at SEAL Team 2 in '98, and that's when all the fun started. So
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
good time. Yeah, yeah,
Man. So late 90s. It's not but a few years after that, right, that you're in the teams and building that career, when on that fateful Tuesday day, the world changes forever, right?
yes, sir.
Tuesday, September the 11th, 2001.
Mhm.
And so you're able to see special operations life, specifically in the Navy, on the SEAL teams pre and post
Yes, sir.
9/11. Would you mind giving us just a little comparison as to what times, we all know what times are
Mhm.
like after that, but what was it like before that, and a little just comparison point for us? I'm just interested from your perspective.
Sure, sure. So there's a plaque on the back of SEAL Team 2, and it says, "Are you ready for war today? You should be." And that was the mentality. Like, you needed it because we were at peacetime on September 10th. And
Mhm.
that's what I try to tell the younger guys when I talk to them. Like, look, man, you need to be ready today, not when it hits. So at the teams, we were always training, always preparing. And there were other missions that we were doing because you have what's known as conflicts other than war.
Mhm.
So the teams were still engaged with things all around the world, protecting our national interests. But you were always training, always training. And I never forget, it was a Tuesday, September 11th, because we would do a 2 mile ocean swim and a 3 mile run. So you would swim in the ocean, get up, run back to the team. And we did that. And we were doing some training, internal training in the building. And the first plane hit, and it was like, oh my God, what a terrible accident. Second
Mhm.
plane hit, we knew right then and there. We knew exactly what was happening. And the team is like a light switch. Everybody was in a whole different frame of mind. And we were preparing because we knew inevitably that where we were going to be heading and what we were going to be doing.
Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
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 it's those fateful moments where everything kind of gets flipped on its head. But what's incredible is you're always preparing and staying ready
Yes, sir.
for God only knows what could happen. None of us expected that to be the case on that day. So after that, right, the experience from that day moving forward, because nothing was really ever the same again.
No,
What was
sir.
your experience like?
So, you had the original guys that went in, the horse soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic guys. They went in, did a magnificent job. And then we had other forces going in, doing their things. And then we deployed shortly thereafter. And I ended up being deployed out of Kandahar and doing other things, and was actually in Afghanistan for the 1 year anniversary of 9/11. And it was very eerie being on that base because we knew what we were there for, but we also knew the significance of that day.
Mm.
And everybody was mission focused, regardless if they were special operations or conventional forces or whatever. Everybody was mission focused because we wanted to, we wanted to hold those responsible accountable, and that's what we were doing. So it was great to be able to be a part of that, along with everybody else. Once again, I mean, it wasn't just the SEAL teams. I mean, you had ODA guys that I was working
Yeah.
with, Air Force pararescue, combat controllers, some of which, of course, this is the crazy part about special operations. People that I met in our little chow hall years later, just kind of shooting the breeze and everything, and just talking with a PJ or a CCT, and then you're like, hey, I was there too, and then you realize that you were serving all that time ago, all for the same mission, all for our country, for, to do what was needed. So it was nice. It's nice knowing that I was a part of that. Honored to be with some of the men that I served with, because I'm a firm believer, and you've heard me say this, that he who talks the most is usually done the least. There are some guys and gals who've done some amazing things, both in Afghanistan, Iraq, and around the world, who you'd never know about because they're the true quiet professionals. So
Yeah.
I'm honored to be associated with those individuals.
I know you're incredibly humble. We spoke the other day, said, look, man, I'm not big into like getting on and talking about all the different gnarly stuff I've done and firefights I've been in. And I love that about you, man. It's an incredible way to view it. You think back to, we're so fortunate, man. We started this thing a year ago. Our second guest was Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Spanky Peterson, who flew the Pave Hawk helicopter that picked up Marcus Luttrell. And
Mhm.
he had such an amazing story to tell, because Marcus is, quite frankly, this sort of larger than life character,
Mhm.
a great man, right? But larger than life character. And Spanky's a part of that mission. And I've been very fortunate to meet other people who have connections to Red Wings who are like, oh yeah, I was this, or I was this part of it. And like, to
Mhm.
your point, right? You just find those opportunities to find folks that were involved in these incredible moments that then get, immortalized on film and all these
Mhm.
different things along
Yes,
the
sir.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, the connection to special operations. Um, Jacques Fontaine, who was killed during Red Wing,
Yeah.
was a great friend of mine. Both of us were from New Orleans, and this is when SEAL Team 10 was just coming on board. So we would meet every Monday, because after the Saints would play on Sunday, and this is when the Saints sucked. So
You
we
got to
would meet every.
remember. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So you have to remember that's like pre Sean Payton, pre Drew Brees. So we would
Yeah,
meet
they were, they were the Aints.
oh yes, sir. And we would meet and we were like, God, did you see that game? What a terrible game. And it was just, a fun connection. So Jacques deploys, um, is killed, and but he and I made a pact that, hey, if something happened, we were going to notify each other's widow.
Mm.
So I was the Keiko for Jacques, and I had to go to Shar and notify her because originally they were all missing in action, presumed dead, and then because there was a recovery going on, and a lot of the recovery guys are friends of
Was
mine.
he was on the bird?
He was on the rescue bird,
Yeah.
yes, sir. So, and then the bird was shot down,
Yep.
but they were recovering their bodies. Um, and then once they located all of them, then I had to go back again 2 days later and let Shar know that, but they had in fact found him. And it's people say, well, what's the hardest thing you ever did as a SEAL?
Yeah.
That right there, notifying my friend's wife that he's not coming home again. I say that full circle because you talk about Marcus and Spanky and everybody else. So many people contributed to that mission that people won't ever know about, other than the team guy huddle when we're at a reunion or an event, and team guys, we're gonna get in our little huddle. We're gonna have our big watches and our spider codes and our beers. And hey, man, yeah, that was a great job, good stuff. So yeah. So yeah, just
I
wanted
mean,
to throw that
honestly
out
with
there.
you, Gonzo, that's why I told the story last week. I was watching the movie one night randomly, and I watched the moment where the helicopter pilot, and Spanky said this didn't really happen in real life, but it makes for a good part of the movie, sort of looks over his shoulder and looks at Mark Wahlberg before they take off. And I was like, who's that dude? Who's that guy? I want to know who that guy is. I want to talk to that guy who went and grabbed him. It's incredible Americans, man. Let me ask you this last thing, sort of on the military career front. We're living in a tough time right now, right? Where things are rather divisive, and sort of all these things are on this world stage, and even separate from this, what's going on in Ukraine today and what's happened in the last year with Afghanistan. There's I don't know, there's been a weird feel about how we're sort of getting yanked apart about things. Share with our listeners, if you don't mind, the incredible fighting force that is the American military that you've seen on display in your combat tours.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I can go all the way back to pre-SEAL teams that at any time that I served from 1982 to when I retired in 2016, I never worried about if I was in a firefighter, if I was doing something. I never looked at the next guy and said, hey, man, are you a Democrat? Are you an independent? Are you black? Are you Jewish? Whatever. It's like, hey, man, you are my brother. I am your brother. Let's deploy and let's get the job done. And that's the one thing. If people can remember one thing, is that our military is built with the most amazing people who have a call to serve. I want to serve my country. I want to do everything that I can to protect my country. And that's where we separate everything else, and we're just mission focused. Get the job done. But most importantly, America first. And that we do that on and off the battlefield. And that's why you'll see people who SEALs, Green Berets, PJs, regular military, or I should say conventional forces, who serve in the battlefield, but then they come home and they're ushers at church, or they're little league baseball coaches, or they're consider about getting involved in government, to once again raise my hand and lead from the front. So that's if people can remember that regardless of what's going on, we have the best equipped, best motivated individuals serving in our military. And then if people wonder, like, because right now and I'll say the millennials, oh, the millennials, my daughter's 17, she hates when I say that.
Yeah.
I've spoken to corporations, and one of the things I asked them, I say, hey, give me some of the problems that you're having with some of the people you're hiring. Well, they're unmotivated, they can't dress accordingly, they're never on time, they can't pass a urinalysis test. I say, well, what if I tell you there's a whole pool of people who are motivated, will be there 15 minutes early, dressed for the day, definitely going to be drug free, definitely be motivated, and also are eager to learn. What if I told you have that pool? Like, oh man, that'd be amazing. Like, why don't you contact your local veterans and reach out and get some of those people transitioning who have proudly served our nation and are just looking for a way to continue to serve.
Yeah. And I got to think you're close to that. We're seeing a lot more of that in transitioning out. You think about how long these last conflicts have been, specifically Afghanistan. It's 20 years. You got guys that are meeting time or just regular transitioning out at other points that are now being thrust into their communities right outside of that military service.
Yes,
I think it's why, guys like Eli, or we had Eric Holman on, combat controller in the Air Force, right, running in Texas. I think that's why they're looking around saying, I got some tread left on these tires. I'm gonna find a way to continue to give back. And maybe it's to go up to Washington and change the makeup of what it looks like. To we don't have people that have been up there for 50, 60 years all the time.
Yes, sir.
Something about
yes,
that.
Sir.
It just doesn't. It's about that.
Right. But also, the old phrase, if not me, who?
Who? If not now, when? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you look at the makeup of our leaders, how many have served in the military? They're elected to represent our population. Well, how many people in that group represent the military population, the veteran population? Very, very little. So we need to have more veterans serving in Congress and other places, to represent the military population, because if you've served in the military, your concerns are a little different than the average American, than your civilian American, and those should be reflected as well in Congress and, like I said, in other places in our government.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's something important about having people who have that service before self just etched on their heart to go
Mhm.
into those kinds of leadership roles. I mean, even, CEOs of companies and, just involved in community and, and if politics is the next fray for them, then great.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get more. Let's get them on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, sir.
Let's get more of it happening there. That's
Mhm.
that's for sure, man. Thanks for sharing all that and for giving that perspective, man. I really appreciate it. I want to talk about this incredible thing you guys have going at Forest Blue. And before we do that, tell me about the first time you got to meet Tom Mullikin and just your impressions of that hard charger.
So I met him in Miami. We were doing a project called the 100 Yards of Hope, where we planted 100 yards of coral for the anniversary or for the Super Bowl, excuse me. And he came on a dive. He and his son came on a dive, and I could tell, like, how his voice is. He's got
Mhm.
that southern. He is like, when I think of Southern gentleman, that's him.
Thinking
Like
Tom
literally,
Mullikin. Yeah.
yes, sir, yes, sir. So I heard his voice first, and of course, being from the South, I'm like, all right, got another Southerner here, and just the way he carries himself and I mean, just smart is even putting him out. Just he's intelligent, but he doesn't, like, he's not, like, arrogant about it. Like, you can tell he's easily one of the smartest people in the room, and just a joy to be around with him, and just his infectious personality, his infectious attitude. One of my favorite phrases is attitudes are infectious, good or
Mhm.
bad, and his is he's such a positive person, and just once again a can-do kind of guy. I mean, he's like, see problem, fix problem, or get out of my way as I fix the problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned about him, and we just started talking, and and of course his service. I mean, you don't get to be a major general by being a knucklehead. So he's a great guy, and just developed a friendship. And there's that phrase, "Real knows real."
Mhm.
And I could tell within talking 5 to 10 minutes with this gentleman that he's real, and hopefully he thought the same thing about me. So that's why we've kind of developed a friendship, and he's definitely somebody, a mentor that I have no problems asking for advice from. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are new to the podcast and maybe haven't been with us the entire last year, he was episode 61. Tom Mullikin, we called it Action and Acceleration. You talked about see a problem, meet a problem. The man was literally met with two problems, his right and his left foot. And he had some real physical challenges that he had to overcome at an early age, and just a great guy. So I would draw your attention to that episode to go check it out. And so part of your relationship and part of what else we want to talk about is this idea of this Force Blue. And I want to just read the mission again,
Mhm.
because I think it's so incredibly unique. I don't know if I've heard of anything like this ever before. So the mission of Force Blue is to unite the community of special operations veterans. So you got all these special op guys
Mhm.
with the world of marine conservation for the betterment of both. So what are you guys doing there?
So what we do is we take Green Berets, SEALs, PJs, CCTs, Rangers, you name it, and we're working with scientists on a wide variety of scientific projects, planting the coral. We just did a kelp mission out in Los Angeles. We've done sea turtle assessments where we'll go down. It's called sea turtle wrangling. If ever there is a phrase that truly fits, it's sea turtle wrangling.
Yeah.
So we'll go down. You bring the sea turtles up, and then the scientists are there and they check them out, because unfortunately, with pollution and climate change, things like that, they're susceptible to diseases and tumors and plastics, because
Mm-hmm.
we're the worst. So we'll bring them up and the scientists check them out, draw some blood. Sometimes they'll tag them to make sure they can track them, and then we re-release them back into the marine environment. So you have all of that, and we have more projects coming, more missions coming down the line, and it's a great way because you have two different groups. You have scientists, and then you have special ops, and you know how we are. Once again, we're coming in, big watch, flip flops, like, hey, there's a problem, let's fix it. Then you have scientists who are like, who the hell are these guys? And
Right.
it's pretty neat to see us within 10, 15 minutes of mutual appreciation.
Yeah.
Because would they know that regardless of the conditions, we're going to go after it. We're going to get it and do what they need us to do. So it's pretty neat. But also there's that mutual understanding and mutual appreciation, because a lot of the team guys are really increasing their intellectual capital in regards to the marine environment, marine conservation, and things that you would never think of. Coral reefs, and learning all about coral, learning all about species of fish, and how we, the population, are impacting it, both good and bad.
Yeah. Naturally, there's going to be competition. So if
Mhm.
you've got SEALs and Green Berets and CCTs and these other guys, I mean, who's bringing the most sea turtles back up to the top?
I don't want to raw any of my fellow Force Blue operators by reminding them that SEALs are the best. But I won't say that. No, I'm joking. No, it's funny because you would think that there's that competition.
Mm-hmm.
Really, there's only that competition when we're drinking beers and telling stories and telling jokes
Yeah.
about each other. But you come together and you do the mission and you bring it up. You just bring those turtles up and everything.
Yeah.
But like anything else, there is a competition. We're gonna have, we'll have fun and we're gonna make. And it's funny because we'll make fun of each other. Like there'll be a PJ joke or an Army joke or a Navy joke, stuff like that. And the scientists are off to the side, like, what is wrong with these guys? Do they hate each other? And we're like, no, man, that's how we are. We just tease each other, make the day go by, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
So hey, but it's
They're
a
like,
lot of fun.
sir, I've noticed about 10 to 15 HR violations in the last
Oh,
hour with these.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. It's like the movie Old School Earmuffs. Like
Mhm.
the earmuffs. But oh yeah, yeah. Because we're the military. We're
Yeah.
in special ops. We're in the worst offenders. But you're having fun. You're having fun, and nobody takes offense to it. And before you know it, some of the scientists are kind of getting in on it too, because that's so out of their norm. They're
Mhm.
used to being in the scientific environment and dealing with that. Well, now they're with us, and they're like, wait a minute, I can let my hair down, I can have some fun, and these guys are fun. They're not as
Yeah.
intimidating as I
Yeah.
thought. And then the stories go back and forth because we're just as eager to learn about what they're doing and their careers, as they are to learn about ours. And they learn quickly, like, hey, all right, I probably can't ask that question, or I probably shouldn't have asked that question, because, like, once again, who's done the most talks the least. So they kind of realize that. And it is a great relationship, and one that we're continuing to build upon with each and every mission that we do. Yes,
Join the
sir.
Navy. You join the Navy for the chance to see the world, but I have to imagine that this opportunity is taking you to some incredible places. So take us on some of those journeys, man. Where have you been throughout this incredibly important work?
So my first one was in Key Biscayne, and all the diving that I had done was closed circuit. Everything was closed circuit. So you don't want to see bubbles. Bubbles are the enemy. You don't want to see. So my first dive was down there planting some coral, and it was amazing. First off, I had clear visibility. The water was warm. It was during the day. Everything that I had not done all around the
Mm-hmm.
world, where you're diving at 2 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold, pitch of night. This much clear visibility right here. So it was really neat. But what was really amazing about it was that as I planted that coral, you went back to get another piece of coral, and by the time you came back, there was already marine life, already small fish or whatever, just
Wow.
already feeding off of it. Yes, sir. And swimming around it, like investigating, like, hey, what's going on over here? So to see your impact right then and there at that moment, that fast, was truly moving. And as corny as it sounds, I was very moved because you see some of the things you've done in your military career, but to see it that instantaneous right then and there was truly moving and also gratifying, because that's my legacy now. My legacy in the SEAL teams is things that I've done. But my 17-year-old daughter, now she can say, hey, yeah, my dad was part of that. My dad worked on
Mm-hmm.
repairing that, and it's encouraging her. She wants to now get certified and then hopefully do a dive with me someday. So it's pretty neat. Pretty
That
neat.
is
Yes, sir.
that's really cool.
Yes, sir.
What does the average listener not know about what's happening below the surface and how important it is to the conservation of our entire globe?
Well, the average listener needs to realize and understand that we humans are the worst offenders. Like, we are the worst because, and some of it might not be intentional, but a lot of it's plastics, chemicals, things like that, washing your car and all that stuff, things you never thought about. That's all going to our waterways. Especially the plastics. You'd be amazed at the plastic and the
Mm.
trash that we see. We did it. One of the dive missions was in Anna Maria Island, down there in Tampa, and it was just a pier. It was just like, hey, it's a pier. Let's go. We're just gonna go clean up, and we'll look and see if there's trash there. You'd be amazed at what we found: fishing nets, fishing lines. Okay, crab traps. That's the norm. Some of those derelict
Yeah.
toilet seats, not one or two.
Why is it here?
20, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All kinds of trash, cans, stuff like that. So especially the plastics. I keep going back to the plastics, but the fish don't know, they don't understand that. They don't know what that is. And then some of the sea turtles that we brought up, they would have the 6-pack plastic around their little fin, you know. So I think something that people need to say, okay, understand is, what can I do now? Like, think globally, act locally. If you go to the beach, you're having a good time, take your last 15 minutes, maybe walk up and down with a plastic bag and pick up some trash. Not gonna take you that much. Or maybe even better, do 22 minutes. The number 22 is significant for, from the veteran community with our suicides. So maybe take 22 minutes, 1 minute for every veteran who commits suicide daily, and say, okay, I'm going to do 22 minutes. Take your kids, educate them, and say, hey, look, this is what you do. So when you go to the beach, when you're in high school or college or later on, take 22 minutes and clean up and honor our veterans who have sacrificed so much.
Oh man, I love it. It's a call to action that folks can start implementing tomorrow. Right.
Yes, sir.
And just maybe
Yes,
just
sir.
be a bit more aware about what our impact looks like. And you think, oh, I'm just one person in this whole thing. Yeah, but all that stuff stacks up. And maybe somebody sees you doing the same thing. Maybe somebody sees you picking up trash. Okay.
Right.
And then that,
Yeah.
influences them a little bit. It's easy as that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because somebody's going to see, hey, man, what are you doing? Hey, I'm taking 22 minutes and I'm walking the beach, just picking up trash. 22 minutes, 22 veterans, suicide. Now I'm bringing awareness to two things. I'm bringing awareness to taking care of our environment, but also honoring our 22, and then getting more involved. Maybe, hey, let me research about those 22 veterans. How can I help them? How can I, help spread the word. And I'm a firm believer in leading by example, just like our other guys, Eli and the other guys, lead by example, so what better way to do it than do it yourself. And then hopefully somebody sees it and wants to do it themselves as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Tell us where folks can learn more about the great work you guys are doing, their website and places they can just check it out.
ForceBlueTeam.org is www.forceblueteam.org. They can check out our social media. Of course, we have Facebook and Instagram, Force Blue. And check it out. We post our missions on there. We post what we've done and what we're going to do. And they can learn more. If not, they can't do all of that, can't figure all that out. Steve, which is my real name. Nobody calls me unless they're telling me they want to sell me an extended warranty on my car. Steve,
which, believe you me, they do.
I can guarantee
they're gonna find you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Steve at forceblueteam.org. They can shoot me an email. I'll reply back and let them know, like, hey, this is what we're doing, how you can help us. Because we are a nonprofit. We work off of donations, and no buck Rogers, to quote the book, The Right Stuff. So we need the support of the American people who want to support us, because it's a great mission. A lot of guys are truly enjoying it, and we'd love to have people support, and also just find out more about us.
Yeah, guys, let's pick up their six a little bit. Head over to their website, give them a donation, and support the great cause, because they're doing really incredible work to leave this place a little bit better than the way we found it, right? And to maybe repair some damage that we've unwittingly done. Gonzo, my man,
sir.
It's been great to get to know you and share your story a little bit, hang out today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And God bless you all.
You too, man. He's Steve Gonzalez, better known as Gonzo. I'm Brian Jodis, and this has been Pick Up the Six podcast.